Well, the Wisconsin Badgers had a lot of fun last weekend at Mariucci Arena, where they swept Minnesota 4-1 and 8-1 to take over first place in the Big Ten. Still 8 games left in the regular season and another road trip this weekend at Michigan. I'm Brian Posick, and head coach Tony Granato joins us next on the Badger Hockey Digest.
It's back. The return of the prestigious Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, honoring college sports excellence across all competitive divisions, both men's and women's sports. Follow along with L Directors Cup on Twitter or online to see which schools will be taking home a first place trophy in June for their season-long success. Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, a premier institutional award jointly launched in 1993 by USA Today and NACDA.
Badgers continue with a power play. Weissbach back to Cuafield, open right circle, finds Holloway, backside, he scores! Oh my! Tic-tac-toe, Badgers with 2 early at Mariucci.
I think we caught Minnesota a little bit by surprise on how we attacked them. Minnesota is still a great team. I think, the 8-1 score you can throw out the window. We won the game. I don't think it was a game where you can say, okay, we're that much better than Minnesota. But I think it says, to us from a confidence standpoint that we went into a top-ranked team and were able to establish the game that we wanted to play and didn't let them, get to the wide open style of play that they like to play as much as they needed to stay in the series. So there were lots of really good things. Individual performances, right up and down the lineup were outstanding. You started in your net, your goaltenders who didn't get overworked, but certainly had big saves to make, throughout the 2 games. The 5-on-3 situation that Robbie faced in the first game was a real important part of the game to not give them any momentum and to give us momentum off of a great kill. And then the defense, solid. We played, just smart defensive hockey. Kept it simple, protected our net front, didn't give them a lot of rebounds, had a ton of block shots in both nights. And then offensively, you get Cole and Dylan rolling, just to mention those 2 because they're on the score sheet so often the past, 4 or 5 weekends. The rest of the group chipped in as well, just by being smart, playing solid, and playing the right way. So all in all, a great weekend, but it's something to build off of. It wasn't the NCAA tournament. It wasn't the playoffs in the Big Ten. It was just 2 regular season games. And it's always nice to have a great weekend like that on the road. And we got to carry that momentum forward into Michigan because Michigan's sitting there waiting for us.
I know, you don't want to get too high or too low after a weekend series, but it is significant, Tony, that your club's in first place in the Big Ten right now with 8 games to play and not knowing how the NCAA selection committee is going to pick the 16 teams to make the tournament. To be in this position right now is the best position to be in right now, isn't it?
No, yeah, absolutely. I'm not trying to downplay anything, but what we did last weekend was good for our program. It was great for our group of kids that have worked so hard to be ready for the opportunity that they got this weekend to jump in the first place. Because, Minnesota got off to that great start, going 10-0, and they were blowing teams out. In the last few weekends, they were on fire of winning games 10-2 and 10-0, and they just looked like they were up and running, and nobody was going to be able to slow them down. And so yeah, it was a really big weekend for us from a confidence standpoint, but like you said, I think more so a respect standpoint from the rest of college hockey. The selection committee is going to have to select in different ways this year than they have in the past. So to have a weekend like that and let everybody know, wait, we better pay a lot of attention to what Wisconsin's doing over there, helped us jump up in the rankings. It helped us in the power rankings with college hockey news. So I think people, understand that, they looked at our team this year and said, okay, you lost Turcotte, you lost Miller, you lost Kalnick, you lost a couple other pieces. How are they going to respond to that? Who's going to take their place? And what we've had is a group of kids that have all committed to doing whatever is needed to be done to try to make this thing work. It starts with our leadership group. I'll say it over and over and over again. Captain Emerson Inamoto, Baker, and Bice have really taken control of that room and led the way. And then it starts in that as well with our goaltenders that have given us a chance to have some consistency back there that every good team needs. You need a goalie you can count on, and we got 2 goalies that we've thrown into tough situations, to tough buildings, and handled that with poise, with confidence, with a demeanor that kind of helps your team relax and gain confidence. And so I think everything's coming together. The 2 guys up front that I mentioned earlier in Holloway and Cuafield, they're on 2 separate lines. So it gives the other team more to think about when they have to play us. And those 2 have been surrounded by great players, and Bice and Weissbach on the one line, and Ashan and Brock Cuafield on the other line. And then you look at the other 2 lines, and you look at the Baker and Mersch line, and then you see what they're doing. And that's Stang, a freshman on there that's been contributing and just being solid in both ends of their rink. And then the other line, Day St. Paul is a freshman playing, with Lindmark and Gorniak, and those guys are dangerous as well. So we got a nice balance to our team. And, we just got to keep things going. It's important the last 4 weeks to try to stay as healthy as possible. We ran into that earlier in the year, and you saw what it's like when you play with a short team. It makes it awful tough on you. So staying healthy will be important, and then, continuing to respect our opponents. And I love how we've prepared each and every weekend in different ways for different challenges that we faced. And again, the good thing about us so far this year is the weekend's over. Okay, we learned from it, and then we start preparing for the next week and the next challenge in front of us. And that's really important this weekend because, like I said, Michigan is going to be sitting there. They need a weekend like we just had to show the rest of college hockey that, hey, not all this talent is just here to, skate around and be drafted high. They're here to win. And this is an important weekend for them to make a showing.
And I would assume, too, because Michigan hasn't played in a while, they're going to come out like gangbusters in period number 1 on Saturday. So your club better be ready for that, although your team has been playing pretty well in the first period here lately.
Yeah, that's another thing that you can attribute to your leadership group and just to players, preparing themselves in a way to be ready for the start of every series. I think, if you look back at a couple first periods, the one at Penn State, they came out, just like you said, Penn State came out that way with a game that they knew they had to have, and they caught us a little bit flat-footed. And the only other game all year that you could say that happened to was the Ohio State game. And that one, I don't think we came out poorly. I think they were capitalizing. They threw the puck to the net and got a couple bounces around our net and got a lead. It was a 4-0 lead, and we came back and got back into that game. The Penn State game was, I think, a 3-0 lead. We came back and got in that game. So I just like our response. I like, how we've handled it. But like you said, for the most part, if you start the game on time and you're ready to play and you can get to your game before you let the other team get to theirs, you're going to have success. And that will be the challenge this weekend. Like you said, Michigan wants to come in and set the tone early and show, fly around all the ice with all the skilled players. We're going to have to, be physical. We're going to have to be smart. And we're going to have to be disciplined from the standpoint. The earlier you get the other team's power play into the game and get their skill players extra touches with the puck and in position, the more they get into it. And I know Minnesota had that 5-on-3 earlier in the game in game 1. But what we did was frustrate them with how we killed the penalties. They were trying to shoot. They only got one really clean look where Robbie made a tremendous save on it. Other than that, we were in their way and the shooting lanes and frustrated them, and it carried over into the next shift. And so it'll be, like I said, we know they'll be coming out flying. And if we can, be smart early, be controlled like we have been to start games, it'll be a big factor into the series.
So the Wisconsin Badgers hope to keep it going this weekend at Michigan. They face off Saturday at 1 o'clock and then Sunday at 4 o'clock. Both games on the Badgers Sports Network. Saturday's game is on the Big Ten Network. Sunday's game will be streamed by BTN+. For Tony Granato, Jay Williams, Paul Capobianco, I'm Brian Posick. Thanks for watching the Badger Hockey Digest.